Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call to order the Oxnard City Council for October the 4th, 2022. The first item on the agenda is roll call and posting the agenda. Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Basua,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem McDonald,
Here.
Councilmember Madrigal,
Here.
Councilmember Perello, Councilmember Turan,
Here.
Mayor Zaragoza.
Here.
The agenda for this meeting was posted on the City Hall Bulletin Board on September 22nd, 2022, and we have a quorum.
Thank you. Our next item is an appointment item, and Mayor Pro Tem, can you help me out with this?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. Tonight we have a appointment item with the Gold Coast Transit District for an annual report. And I'm fortunate, and a lot of people don't realize it as council members, we sit on a lot of other committees, groups and everything else. And I have an opportunity to sit on the Gold Coast Transit District, and I serve as the chair of that transit district this year. And Vanessa Rauschenberger is our new general manager. She's been here just a little bit over 6 months. Born and raised here in Oxnard, went to local schools, and then got insanely strange and moved to New York for 7 years to go to college and worked there for a while until she returned back to California. I think the snow, sleet, and rain finally got to her, but we're very pleased to have her as the general manager of Gold Coast Transit District. I think she's doing an absolutely phenomenal job. We're moving very forward, moving forward on a variety of issues, and including going to fuel cell, hydrogen fuel cell bus fleet, getting away from CNG. And just, we're really looking towards the future. So I'm proud to introduce her as our general manager. And Vanessa, the floor is yours.
Welcome, Vanessa.
Thank you very much. And thank you to the city manager, Alex, for inviting me to come here today. Some of you I know, and some of you who don't know me, Vanessa Rauschenberger, and I am the general manager for Gold Coast Transit District. We are the main public transit provider here in Western Ventura County. I'm pleased to have a little bit of extra time today, so I'm going to talk a little bit about our organization and also give you a little bit of overview of what we do in case you're not familiar with all the services, and then I'll get into some of our future exciting projects we have going on. So my contact information here, and I'll provide this at the end as well. My goal today is just to introduce myself to you and to the residents of Oxnard. If you have questions about public transit, I'm the person you can call, and I'll definitely want to share all of our ways to get in contact with us for any questions you have after today. So just a little bit of history about Gold Coast. Some of you remember SCAP. Gold Coast started almost 50 years ago as SCAT. We were South Coast Area Transit. We've been providing service to Ojai, Oxnard, Port Hueneme, Ventura, and Ventura County. Santa Paula was part of that for a little while. We've been providing bus service from Oxnard to Ventura. Our core ridership rides the Route 6. Some of you may have ridden that yourself. And in 1996, we launched a complimentary service to that called SCAT Access. Access are the smaller vehicles that you see driving around that provide ability for people to get curb-to-curb transportation who are unable to use the regular fixed route full-size bus. In 2007, we changed our name to Gold Coast Transit, went on to form the district in 2014, which formalized the district and the way our funding flows to us. And then recently we moved into our new headquarters in North Oxnard. Our primary service area covers all of Western Ventura County. So we have 20 routes that traverse these areas. We also have our access goes anywhere within this area. So if you need to get to a location that's way far off a route, you can use access to get there. We're governed by a board of directors. As Mayor Pro Tem McDonald mentioned, he's the chair for 2022. And I know Mayor Zaragoza has also served on our board in the past, on several times as chair as well. We have technical advisory committee that's comprised of a staff member from each member jurisdiction. So there's a member from Oxnard Public Works Department, as well as all the other cities' public works who we work with in the planning of the services. So you might be wondering, where can I go by bus? Some of the popular destinations we serve include Port Rainier Pier, downtown Ventura, Pacific View Mall, Ojai, Oxnard College. These are the key locations that multiple routes serve, and most of them originate here in Oxnard in the Oxnard Transit Center. We have 10 routes that serve the Oxnard Transit Center, connecting not only to our buses, but to VCTC, which is the regional transportation provider. From those buses, you can travel all the way to the LA area or to Santa Barbara. You can connect to Metrolink, Amtrak, and other destinations beyond. In 2019, we relocated out of our yard here. We used to be located just across the bridge on 3rd and Garfield. Some of you might have remembered a small building there in a bus yard. We had that site since the 1970s. It was originally built to accommodate about 30 buses. We now have 61 buses in our fleet and 26 vans. We have about 200 employees. Majority of them are operating buses or maintaining buses. And we work out of our facility on 1901 Auto Center Drive. The past 2 years have been difficult for everyone, especially in public transit. Our ridership took a pretty big hit, but I think also staffing wise, we struggled with families that were impacted by COVID, our employees, many of our riders. And so we've been doing things differently a little bit since then to try and help us recover from that. But just this chart here shows you just the magnitude of the impact to our ridership. And this is no different than public transit systems faced all across the country as people stayed home, as services were reduced. Our ridership took a hit of about 50%. We're now up to about 75% of pre-pandemic ridership. So to put that into numbers, we carried about 4 million riders a year before the pandemic. We're just over 2 million now. That's about 250,000 riders a month. This past September was our highest month since the pandemic. So this September, one of the reasons why we're seeing such a big boost as things reopen, we also have done a big push to do some more outreach as we are starting to reopen, as many places are, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later in the presentation. So for everyone's knowledge, this is what our vehicles look like. You've probably seen the bright green topped cars driving around. We rebranded and made our vehicles a little brighter a few years ago. And I think since then I've had lots of calls from people who said, I didn't even know we had a bus in Oxnard or that went down my street. And when they see these brighter vehicles, it makes them more aware of our services. The fare is $1.50 for one ride, and the fare for access is $3 a ride. For our fixed route service, we have service from about 6 a.m. to about 10 p.m. But I will say our staff works from about 3 o'clock in the morning when they start showing up, getting the buses in fleet ready to work. And they're there till about 2 o'clock in the morning, cleaning buses, maintaining our fleet, getting the buses ready for service the next day. So we're almost a 24-hour operation. I think sometime in the next few years, we may be.
Vanessa, is that 150 one way or?
150 one way, and that includes a free transfer. So if you need to take more than one bus to get to your destination, you can transfer for free to that next bus.
Okay, thank you.
We have a lot of free categories. So if you are a youth, 18 and under, if you are a college student, if you are age 75 and up, your ride is free all the time. You can get on the bus at any stop and ride anywhere in our service. You can also transfer and ride VCTC, the regional bus, and all of the transit operators are participating in that. So it's a great way to, if you're a youth or college student and you want to try an affordable way to get around, public transit is now free. And that's through a partnership with VCTC and a grant that we had. So we're very thankful for that. Our transfers are good for 2 hours. So if after 2 hours, if you haven't gotten all the way where you need to go, and you need a third bus or fourth bus, we recommend you get a day pass, which enables you to ride unlimited rides all day, and that's for $4. We have a customer service center based out of the Oxnard Transit Center. So downtown Oxnard Transit Center, we have a space there that we lease, and we have 2 staff there who take calls. We also have a website that is monitored almost around the clock for any customer calls or complaints that we get. And we're we've switched a lot of our information to apps. So for trip planning, real-time arrivals, ticket fares, we have an app for that. So 2 I want to point out is Token Transit. Token Transit's a free app. It serves hundreds of transit agencies across the nation, and we're part of it. Simi Valley is part of it. If you download the app, it'll automatically detect to your area. You can purchase a pass, and it's a simple visual verification to ride. One of the things I want to mention about Token Transit that's been really great is that it offers us to provide what's called fare capping. For those of you who don't know what fare capping means, it means that if you can't afford to buy, something like a $50 monthly pass, you can buy your pass one day at a time. And when you reach that cap that would normally pay for an unlimited 30-day pass, Token Transit will automatically convert that into a 30-day pass for you. So once you reach that limit, the rest of your rides are free for the month. It also allows us to have an easy way to send passes. Both if you have a family member who needs a pass, you can go to our website and send that pass off to them. These are all new features that we've added in the last 2 years and made it a lot easier for people to use the system. The other app I want to mention is the Gobc Bus App. This app is a regional bus pass and trip planning together. So if you ride the bus to Santa Barbara or LA, VCTC and Gold Coast, we recommend you use the Gobc Bus App. It has not only fare purchasing, but also has a trip planning tool.
Go ahead.
The question with you have monthly app, you have monthly that you can buy a thing for. Do you sell for any larger? If a school is set up on a quarterly system or a semester system, or possibly a year, do you have that?
We don't have that, but for schools, since they're now free, they don't need to use the app at all. They just get on the bus and they're a visual verification if they are a student or have a student ID. They ride for free without the need to purchase a pass. So this would be for people who purchase passes. Something that you're describing would be something like maybe a business might want to purchase something on an annual basis. We don't have that right now, but I know that's something that sometimes gets requested.
And as far as a student, they just need an ASB card, a student body card, or student ID.
For students who are in middle school or lower, you don't need any form of identification. We train our operators to look at the student. If they look to be junior high or younger, they can just board. If they look to be high school or above, we advise have your ID ready, your school ID ready. If the operator asks you to show ID, you will be asked to show your school ID to prove that you're a student or a college student.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Vanessa, follow up. So now, for example, the seniors that are 75 and over, et cetera, do they have to show some kind of ID or?
So for seniors who are 75 and older, we do have a senior ID that can be purchased, but you don't have to use it. You can just show your any identification or any proof of age that you have. But we also at the Oxnard Transit Center encourage seniors or youth for that matter to come on down, and we'll issue them a free youth ID. And that's good for people who are maybe don't have an ID of their own and need to get one. We can issue them one.
And it's the same for the students.
Same for the students, youth as well.
Because you have some probably younger folks that do not attend school or anything. So
Yes.
consequently, we need some kind of ID.
We have that. And there's people who may be homeschooled or don't have an ID,
Okay.
or their school doesn't issue one in the beginning of the year. So we have that option for people to get the ID.
That's a good program. Thank you. Mhm.
Okay, so this is just a little poster that we have on all our buses, and I noticed you have some right outside this door, which is great. We've been doing a lot of outreach, going to back to school nights, going to the different schools. I'll say one of the early observations from this program that I guess we should have anticipated, but maybe since I'm not in the educational background and I don't have kids, is just the amount of training for younger people to ride public transit, middle schoolers who've never ridden the bus before. And so we're working with the schools to develop toolkits and training on how to be a good transit rider, how to have etiquette on the bus. What are some of the expectations about giving up your seat when someone who maybe is a senior or an elder who needs that front seat. So we're working to make sure we get that information and do training. So if you have a school that you think would benefit from that, let us know. We're going to be rolling out materials to the schools to work on that. We want to make this program successful. And it starts by training a new generation of riders on how to use public transit. And so we're really excited about this and learning for us as well. So I talked a little bit about our fixed route services. And I mentioned we have an ADA paratransit curb to curb service. But one of the things we're doing a little bit differently is historically, there's always been, the big bus and the little bus. And to ride the little bus, the dial-a-ride bus, you've historically had to be a senior, have a disability that's certified to ride access. But what we're finding is that by utilizing our fleet that we have and utilizing our staff that we have and the technology that's now available for scheduling, we're able to offer different kinds of services to meet gaps that maybe a big bus isn't appropriate to meet. So while we do provide and we provide the ADA service as mandated by the ADA, I want to mention a couple of newer flexible services that we're now offering that are open to the general public with no certification at all needed. So in the pandemic, when we had to reduce hours in the late night hours due to staffing, we utilize our fleet to provide a new service called Late Night Safe Rides. And this is a service using smaller vehicles. It's on demand. You call the number and a vehicle will come to you anywhere in our service area. And for $2, we'll take you anywhere you need to go. We found that a lot of people who use the bus to get to work, who work in food service, or they maybe work in healthcare, they get off 11, 12 o'clock at night after the buses have stopped. And so we realized there was a need to provide service, and maybe not a need to provide a full bus on every route, but a need to provide some service to get return trips home. So with the Late Night Safe Rides, we were able to do that. We also offered and have been offering for a couple of years now, a service called Health Zones, which is a curb to curb service for people who have a temporary disability, who maybe have a broken leg. They don't want to go through the whole certification process.
Councilman
okay.
Masua, got a question.
I have a question. So
Sure.
you mentioned the flexible service. So if somebody wanted to get to work, we would just get somebody. I mean, is there a set time, a set schedule that they would come?
So if you are using the Late Night Safe Rides to get to work after 7 p.m., you would call and they would be there within probably about 30 minutes to when you need to go. You can also make a subscription if it's an everyday thing. You can get a dedicated time.
Okay, thank you.
So the Health Zone service is a service where if you have maybe a limited time where you need a ride, you can't drive, and you're not necessarily able to get certified to ride access permanently, you can use our service on a zone base where you pay $3 per zone. So it's a little bit of a higher fare, but you can ride it at any time without going through the certification. We also started offering a couple of years ago service to Camarillo. So if you use access, you can pay a little bit of an extra fee and get that service to access.
Go ahead.
When you're paying extra fee, they're dealing with cash on these.
For access, you can use cash or you can use our token transit app to pay the fare.
How do we protect the drivers if you are dealing cash?
Mhm.
Is there something that says there's no, I mean, if somebody bluntly, How do you prevent it being a bait for a crook?
You mean in terms of how much cash they carry? So on access, I would say majority of the customers are, 2 at a time in the vehicle. So the amount of cash is going to be pretty small. And the vehicles, most passengers use an app to pay, or they will pay in advance by putting money on an account. In addition to these apps, you also can load value to your account if you're an access rider. And so it gets deducted as you ride. So
Thank you.
there's pretty small amount of cash.
Thank you.
And for money that goes into the machine on the bus, it's a secure system, it's vaulted, and the drivers have no access whatsoever. So it would be impossible for anyone to get into it except a service technician at our yard.
Councilmember Vasila, any additional question? Thank you.
So this is the flyer for the late night safe ride service for anyone who would like to use it. It's open to all from 7 p.m. to midnight. And it's our phone number's there. It's very low tech. All you need is a phone to call. You let the reservation person know where you are, and they will arrange for you to get a time home. I will tell you that this,
Councilmember Turan?
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you can finish your.
I was going to say, I will tell you that the popularity of this program has grown quite a bit since we started. We started off the first month, we gave 400 rides in a month, and we're now over 1,000 rides a month in our service
That's
area.
significant. Go ahead.
I'm wondering if, is this in the realm of micro transit? And if so, I see that there was a phone number for reservation. Is there an app-based way to reserve a ride as well?
So we are in the works of planning a microtransit service, and it will be started in a smaller zone that will have an app base. If that goes well, we would be looking to have this be eventually have an app. When we started the late night safe rides, I will tell you, from the time we thought of it to the time we started was just a few months. It was during the pandemic. It was one of those ideas that said, hey, we have this big drop in demand in access rides because of the pandemic. People are staying home. How can we better utilize our staff and our vehicles? Let's have them work and open it up to all. And so we didn't have any technology or any app or anything like that. We just said, call the number just like you would on access. We'll be there within 30 minutes. And it's been very popular. I'll say the majority of people who use it are going to work, coming home from work. We have people who use it to get to work in healthcare. They work an overnight shift, and then they'll take the bus home in the morning when it's light outside. Things like this, I think, is really in public transit, having a late night way to get around is so important, especially when there's not a lot of lighting. Some of the sidewalks are very dark. If people can use the fixed route bus, a lot of the times they prefer it, but they prefer to get a ride home when it's dark or when maybe they don't feel as safe walking out on the street.
Safe for the community. Go ahead.
And just one last quick follow-up question. I think I know the answer, but I'll ask, are any of the vehicles equipped with bike racks? If someone wants to do like a one-way trip somewhere and then bike back?
We have bike racks on the vehicles as well. Yes.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, if you have a bike rack, mention it when you call late night safe rides, because there's a couple vehicles that are bigger that can accommodate. Some of the smaller sedans, we also use smaller sedans and bigger vans. The smaller ones don't, but the bigger ones do.
And Vanessa, excuse me, you also have, some of those vans have the wheelchair access.
They all are wheelchair accessible.
All
as well.
of them are, yeah.
Mhm, Yep.
yeah.
That's great. So this is the map of the health zones I mentioned. So depending on how far you ride, this is again for people who are not ADA certified and don't normally qualify for access. So this is to the general public. If you need to go to a pharmacist, something quick, something came up medically that prevents you from using transit or driving, you can use our health zones. So microtransit. We have applied for a grant, and we were awarded a grant to launch a new microtransit, which we are working to call it, and it will be called Go Now. It is going to be operating initially in a single zone in the College Park area, the eastern part of downtown. And this will be using an app where you will request a ride anywhere in here in the zone. And you'll be able to connect to all the different routes, all the different destinations. We had initially wanted to start this program a little earlier, but staffing shortages. We didn't want to start this without making sure we had enough staff to sustain it. When we saw how fast the late night safe rides ridership grew and demand for trips grew, we want to make sure that we're fully staffed before we launch this.
Councilmember.
Can you explain the different icons or the colors? What means what?
The icons are just all the different businesses and places in the area. So there's just residences, businesses. The colors are just a layer of the map.
So if you mentioned you may start in College Park, the magenta and magenta being in other places, there's no significance?
No significance. You
Okay.
can start anywhere in the zone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it'll be like, think of it like Uber or Lyft, but it's shared ride. So, right, it's Uber or Lyft are private rides. They cost more. Microtransit is similar to Uber and Lyft, but it's like a shared pool ride. So think of it like carpool. Last year, we launched finally our new website. We had a really outdated website. It was difficult to find things. So we have a mobile first site now. We did some outreach to our riders. 75% of them access all their information on their phone. So we wanted to make sure our website was easily accessible. From there, you can find trip planning. You can locate your real-time arrival of your bus, send a pass. You can find information on all the services that we have. Time-wise, I'm doing okay? Okay.
Yeah,
So bus stops. We get a lot of questions about bus stops, bus stop cleanliness. People want to know where they can get on a bus. Maybe they're not sure where their bus stop is located near their house. So I always like to show a picture of what a bus stop looks like, because this is the front door to the transit system. If you stand by one of these poles, chances are within about 30 minutes, a bus will stop. When you see the bus stop signs here, they're they're reflective, highly reflective at night, so our drivers can see them. We have in the city of Oxnard, there are 339 bus stops. About 200 of them have benches. We work with the city's public works staff to plan for those. We don't own the bus stops. All the bus stops are actually owned by the city, but the district provides funds to the city to maintain them, to add amenities to them. And we do that through an annual budget process, working with the staff from your city who make requests to us based on different type of transit needs in the city. So things like bus stops, the Oxnard Transit Center, any kind of cleaning, maintenance that goes on. We work together with the city staff to make sure that the transit funds that are needed go to the city to do that. On the bus stop, it's listed the destination that the bus goes, the days of service, and if there's multiple bus number routes, you'll see them there. Other work that we do with the city is, and the city staff through the technical advisory committee, is we provide assistance in reviewing any plans that come in. We have a member of our transit staff, planning staff, who participates in the city design advisory committee meetings. So if there's a new development coming in, we might say, there's a bus stop nearby. What can we do to improve access to that bus stop? We also work with the city on any kind of plans that are out. All of the cities that have active transportation plans, bike plans, any kind of transportation plans, we are involved in taking a look at those and providing input to make sure that there's coordination going on between the staff of the cities as well as our planning staff. The district property, you might be wondering what's happening with that right over the bridge. When we moved out of that site, the site is now cleared down to the ground level. Gold Coast Transit District Board has passed a policy of a transit-oriented development goal for our district. So we're working to identify through an RFP process a partner to work with to develop that site into transit-oriented development. It's a great location with 10 bus routes nearby. So we're really looking forward to the process of turning that site into something very great for the city. And finally, I want to talk a little bit about our zero emission plans. So some of you may have heard The California Air Resources Board has passed a innovative clean transit initiative goal that all public transit in the state convert their fleets to zero emissions by the year 2040. Currently, our fleet is powered by renewable natural gas, so compressed natural gas. It comes in through a pipeline. We have a station on our site. Our buses are fueled nightly and provide the service. Most of our fleet have what's called near zero emission engines, but they're not quite zero. They still use that renewable natural gas. So we are in the process of developing a plan to transition our whole fleet to a zero emission. And the path that we're looking at and that we're moving towards is a hydrogen fuel cell technology. So there are two types of buses that are zero emission. One is a hydrogen fuel cell electric, and the other one is a battery electric. They're both electric buses. They both use similar technology on the bus, but one of them is powered overnight by being plugged into a charger, and one of them has the fuel cells powered by hydrogen fuel. So we're awarded a grant through the federal low and no transportation program for $12 million to begin our transition by purchasing 5 hydrogen fuel cell electric buses and to upgrade our fueling station to allow us to fuel those there. To learn more about hydrogen fuel cell and electric fuel technology, as well as other kinds of clean air technology, Gold Coast Transit is excited to announce we'll be hosting a Clean Air Summit and Expo on Wednesday, October 12th. And you all should have a little flyer there, and I have flyers here as well for anyone in the public. The facility, our new facility will be filled with buses. We have buses coming from couple manufacturers, Gillig, Proterra, New Flyer, will be on site, all zero emission buses, heavy duty buses. So if you have anyone interested in a heavy duty fleet, we'd love to have you come out and take a look at those. We'll also have some e-bikes and scooters on display to try. So not just buses, but all modes of zero emission. We'll have organizations there, and we'll have speakers from California Air Resources Board, the U.S. Hydrogen Council, Ventura County Transportation Commission, as well as the Ventura County Air Pollution Control District.
And Vanessa, that's from 1 to 4, right?
So that'll be from 1 to 4
Mhm.
out in the yard. We have a speakers summit in the morning, which is by RSVP. You can email us that you'd like to attend. And then the expo is open to the public, no reservation needed. You can come by any time from 1 to 4.
And the public parking, where's that?
Public parking at our facility. So our parking lot is quite large. We built it for the future, so we have lots of space there to
Okay.
accommodate.
Great. Thank you. Oh, go ahead, Councilmember Sharon.
Yes, thank you. Regarding the previous slide with the transition to zero emissions, do you have a estimated time window on transitioning our fleet to, is it hydrogen fuel cell that you said?
Yes, so the CARB mandate rule is to transition all fleets by 2040. Our transition plan is currently being developed we're working with Stantec on a timeline for when we'll get there. A lot of it depends on our funding and how many grants we can get to replace our vehicles. A hydrogen fuel cell bus is quite a bit more expensive than a traditional compressed natural gas bus. So that's one factor that might slow us down. But I think by 2040, we should be able to meet that goal if we stick to the plan. And we've already have 5 buses going to be ordered. So that should help us get there. I will say that we, when we're looking at the different technology, we're looking at the plug-in versus hydrogen fuel cell. One of the reasons why we are looking at hydrogen versus a battery electric really has to do with the overall long-term cost. So if we had a fleet of about 10 vehicles, a plug-in vehicle might be fine, but because we have 61 buses, 26 vans, we need something that can scale up. And that as we fuel our buses, as we have those long range, long mileage routes that we serve, we need something that is going to be able to keep up with that. So we think that technology seems to be the one that's going to be able to do that. But we're still in the early stages of this. So as we try these 5 buses out, we'll see how they work, and then we'll make a decision at that point whether to keep going all the way, or if there's newer, better technology, we'll look at that as well.
Yeah, that is the thing with technology, is what we're planning for now to in 10 years, 5 years, 10 years, may be far more efficient, look a lot different, have different ways of charging. What we buy now of those 5 buses may be outdated by the time we get to that point. So that's great points. Thank you for that info. And I just want to share, I don't know if my colleagues have had the chance to ride an electric bus. I rode one in Orange County. I didn't realize it was electric until I turned to my wife and said, "This bus is really quiet, isn't it?" And when we got off, we asked, and said, "Oh yeah, it's an electric bus." I said, "Wow."
Well, it wasn't there at a point where at some point, I'm not sure if it's 2040, that they want all the buses to be electric.
Yes, by 2040. So for us, because we're considered a smaller transit provider, we have some targets that we have to meet. So by 2026, we have to have any purchases that we make, 25% have to be zero emission.
Sure, yeah.
And then each year, that percentage grows a little higher. So by 2029, any purchases that we make need to be zero emission.
Vanessa, LA is way ahead of that too, right?
Los
They're doing-
Angeles, yeah, Los Angeles, Orange County, they have a mix. They have hydrogen and they have battery electric buses in addition to their regular fleets. By far, the most popular bus type is still the compressed natural gas. That's kind of the workhorse of public transit. It's reliable, it's used, and that's for every 100 buses, there might be 1 electric. So that the technology is speeding up, and as more funding for zero emissions is available, the systems are starting to transition.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, the advantage to the hydrogen fuel cell is that we have a power plant on each bus that is powered by hydrogen. And there's no emission byproduct that comes out except for a few droplets of water here or there. So it's something that continuously generates electricity while it's driving, as opposed to the standard electric bus.
Okay.
You only get so much time out of it and you got to plug it in somewhere.
Mhm.
So that's why the board went with the hydrogen fuel cell technology.
Good point.
I'll-
Councilman
I'll
Tron.
I'll say one of our biggest worries about the technology is the range. Our buses travel almost 200 miles a day back and forth. And so what we measured was the amount of range that a battery bus would have versus a hydrogen fuel cell. And for every 1 bus that we replace, we would need 2 battery plug-in to make the range distance. Hydrogen fuel technology is approximately equivalent to a traditional CNG bus in terms of range. So again, a little bit more expensive up front, but the range is much more reliable for us.
Councilman Perrello.
Nice presentation. Thank you very much. 2 questions. Are there employment opportunities with your organization if you want to put a plug in now? The second thing is, do you buy or do you lease buses?
All the buses are owned by the district, so we don't lease vehicles. We own them all. We maintain them all with our staff. We have an excellent team of mechanics and facility mechanics who maintain our fleet and our facility. Yes, we are hiring. If you'd like a job as a bus operator, that's our most urgent demand. We have classes starting just about every 3 months, new class starting, and we will train you from having a regular driver's license to having a commercial license. We'll train you the entire way at our facility. So if you're interested in that, please check our website. And we always have opportunities for different positions as well that come open.
And if you're looking for a job, I know a few people that I can get you.
So Vanessa, thank you so much. We have a couple of speakers that I'd like to speak at this time. Oh, I'm sorry, that was the end of the presentation.
That was the end. I was just going to share my contact information, but
Okay.
my email is vanessa@gctd.org. If anyone has any further questions for me, I'm always available by email. And if you'd like to come out to the site to have a visit, I hope to see you on October 12th or anytime. If you'd like to take a bus ride, I'm always like to take rides with people and show you around the system.
So I'm going to thank you too. And go ahead.
One follow-up on your tour. It says you have a tour, your tour thing, and it mentions electric buses, bikes, and scooters. What are we going to look at if we show up with bikes and scooters?
So we have go-go bikes, or go-go scooters, we have some e-bikes there. And the tour will just be a facility tour, electric buses, so you can get on, take a look at the technology. We'll have all the flaps open on everything, and we'll have some experts there to talk about how the bus technology works.
And the reason I asked that, we're not looking at some product where we have scooters available to rent and leave on the street somewhere.
Oh,
Thank
no.
you. Thank you.
It'll be in our yard.
Thank you. Thank you so much, for good work. And I'd like to share that I was a board member for a couple of decades too, with going back to Third Street, so. Okay, we have a couple of speakers at this time. It's William Kwan, followed by Pat Brown. On this item, on this particular MB1, go ahead.
Yes, good evening, Mayor Zaragoza and Mayor Pro Tem and esteemed City Council and then the City Manager. My name is William, and I'm the owner of a Cafe Dulce Vida located at the Oxnard Transit Center on 4th Street. First, I would like to thank the City of Oxnard and citizens of Oxnard for allowing my mother to open her first business a year ago, and for allowing me to have the same opportunity to operate at the same location. I take great pride on being a business owner in this beautiful city and serving the residents of this community. It is a special feeling being a local business owner and entrepreneur, and having the honor of offering my product to all of you. I have seen some of you at my cafe, and I sincerely thank you for all your support. But I come to you today to plead for your help and your support. My 5-year lease came to an end, and the City of Oxnard does not want to renew the lease.
William,
Yes,
Mr. City Manager, this is on a transit item. This is items not on the agenda. Is that what you want to?
transit center, yes.
Well, go ahead.
Yes. yeah. Mm.
Go ahead.
So, yeah, 5-year lease came to the end, and the lease is not getting renewed. Even after years of being faithful tenant and being loyal to this great city, I was informed that I would have to be placed on a month-to-month contract on my rent, and would increase 300%, which would go from $911 to $2,733 a month. In addition, I have submitted countless requests to the Public Works Department on maintenance issues that need to be addressed at the location, but nothing had been done or fixed. I felt I was being ignored. Furthermore, during the pandemic, the transit center lost about 90% of their customer base, which had a severe and negative impact on my business. I lost thousands of dollars and was not able to pay my monthly lease for the location. I reached out multiple times to the city asking assistance, support, and extensions, but they were all denied. I'm not sure I understand why I'm being treated unfairly. I'm just a local minority business owner who is trying to make a decent living while running a small business. But the city has now made it very difficult, complicated, and challenging for me. I hope you can take this plea into serious consideration and work with me on coming to an agreement. Thank you for all your time.
William, you can talk to our Public Works Director. He's on the, right on the agenda.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor,
I will be addressing this and taking care of it. Thank
Oh,
you.
you will? Okay, thank you.
Yes, but I am going to rely on the lease first and foremost. I want to be clear about that.
Yes.
Thank you.
We were talking about your business, not about the transit business.
Yes.
Okay.
It's Dulce Vita in the transit. center.
Okay. So the
Yeah.
city manager is going to take.
Correct. I was gonna say the city manager's office is aware of it, is looking into it, and I'm hoping they will follow up with it.
Okay, the
Yes.
city manager is going to take care of it. He'll talk to
I
you
just
later.
want to mention that we've been servicing Oxnard Transit Center for 28 years since
the-
my mother.
With the riders and so forth.
And 5 years ago, I invested all my
Thank you.
to go from, that's the before picture and that's the after.
Thank you, Williams. City managers have heard your.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Pat Brown. Pat Brown.
You have to understand that I don't know, I can't hear almost everything that's been going on in this discussion. I can't hear any of it because you don't know how to talk through a mic. Nobody either knows about it, or they've forgotten about it, or they're just tired of hearing me complain about it, so they're just going to go ahead and say, screw you. Well, this is what happens.
Way to talk, our apologies.
One thing I know all about transit and buses because I lived in San Francisco when I was 19 years old, right off the farm. I went there by myself on the Greyhound bus, and I lived there for a year. And at first I was in a residence club for the first couple of months, and then I got tired of that because they had a curfew. You had to be in at midnight, and I grew up with no curfews on the farm, and I wasn't going to be party to it. So I found another girl there who was feeling the same way. So we moved out into an apartment in the downtown area in downtown San Francisco. And I can tell you, that is the place where you go if you want to leave your car at home and take the bus and take the train here from downtown. You can take the train all the way up to downtown San Francisco. In fact, they have 3 different stops there throughout the city, so they're spread out. So it's great. They know how to use the bus systems, and they have been doing so for many years, because when I was there, it was in the 1960s. And I didn't need a car. I went everywhere. Everywhere, all over San Francisco, everywhere on public transportation. That is not happening here. And last spring, there were 2 girls, young women, who had a little questionnaire thing to fill out on the street here. And it was north and east of the downtown area. And we had this corner all set up with displays and stuff, and they wanted to know what the public thought about it. And I found out about it on a little flyer, so I went there. And we went through the whole thing, and I explained exactly what you have to have. And they were all into it, and they said they were going to come and put on a presentation in the fall and let you know what they found out from the public. Thank you.
Van- Thank you. Okay, Vanessa, do you have anything else that you want to share with us? Council members have any? Go ahead.
I was just going to add in that as an agency, we consider ourselves to be very flexible and open to suggestions. And I know that prior to Amazon opening up on Rice Avenue, we did not have a huge need for transit services in that corridor. And Mr. Mayor, you talked to me about your neighbors' concerns. And now that Amazon is there with 2 full shifts, I've asked the planning staff at Gobc, and they're looking at modifying routes if necessary to, provide better service to the Amazon facility. Apparently, there are a lot of people that are transit, dependent. And I just have to give kudos or shout out kudos to Vanessa and the staff with the late night safe ride program that we're doing, and also the micro transit program we're looking at. We were finding that there are a lot of neighborhoods where big buses just don't fit, but the micro transit's a perfect answer for that. And our planning staff out there is very open to suggestions, comments, and they'll look at anything if you bring it to us. So you can email us, you can email Vanessa, you can call her, and then Gold Coast will be very responsive to looking at the request.
Thank you, Vanessa, and thank you, Councilmember Turan.
Thank you. I just wanted to, maybe for the record, ask if there were any speakers who wish to speak on Zoom.
Any other speakers, Madam Clerk, on Zoom?
Mayor, there's no speakers right now on this item.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Vanessa. Excellent presentation, and it's great. The last thing that before you go is what are we doing with 3rd Street?
Our Third Street property.
Yes.
Well, it's cleared now, and we just demolished all the buildings. We're in a request for proposal process to identify a developer to help us develop it into transit-oriented development.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for an excellent presentation.
Thank you. Thank you again for the invitation, and I look forward to coming back in the future and talking about other things transit-related. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you. Okay, so we have another 4 minutes before we start our opening ceremonies. So 4 minutes. Okay. Okay, our next item is the appointment, no, excuse me, the opening ceremonies, and we have at this time like to have Councilman Basua help us with the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll have moments of silence for all the individuals in Florida and all the East Coast that have suffered tremendously. So, Basua. Thank you. Okay. Our next item, we have ceremonial items. We have 4 of them. We're going to have to start off a presentation of proclamation designating the month of October 22nd as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And do we have Sergeant Scott Aaron here from the Oxnard PD coming up? Okay. Let me see. Testing, oops. Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay. Sergeant, how are you? Good. Good, good. Okay, this is Proclamation Domestic Violence Awareness Month, October 2022. Whereas October is designated as the Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and whereas domestic violence is a crime which affects all races, cultures, and social demographics, and has profound impact on the families and the community. Whereas children that grow up in violent homes are believed to be abused and neglected at a rate of higher than the national average. And whereas only a coordinated community effort will put a stop to this atrocious crime, and where the Domestic Violence Awareness Month provides an excellent opportunity for residents to learn more about preventing domestic violence and to show support for the numerous organizations and individuals that provide critical advocacy and services and assistance to those victims. The City of Oxnard Police Department and community-based organizations are in position to provide education, information, and services to assist victims in believing that they have the right to feel safe and live free from violence at home and in the workplace. Of course, we recognize survivors and victims of abuse, whose courage inspires us all. We commit to offering a helping hand to those most in need and remind them they're not alone. We must continue to stand alongside advocates, victims, services providers, law enforcement, and other criminal justice systems as they hold offenders accountable to provide care and support to the survivors during the darkest moments of their life. Whereas the City of Oxnard Police Department urges all residents to take a stand against domestic violence by raising awareness about this issue and the resources available to victims seeking escape from abuse. Whereas we will continue our efforts to end violence in our homes and schools and witnesses. And now therefore, I, John C. Zaragoza, Mayor of the City of Oxnard, do by her proclaim October 22 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in the City of Oxnard, and encourage all residents to participate in the program and outreach efforts towards educating and supporting those who are victims of domestic violence. Sergeant. For sure. Come on, team.
But I definitely couldn't do this without the support of not only my chief and my commander, but also the detectives that are under me that do a fantastic job on these difficult and complex cases that come in all the time. So I just want to say thank you to our community members. Thank you to our community partner organizations, Lideros Campesinas, the DA's office, Victim Advocacy, the Coalition for Family Harmony, Interface Children and Family Services. Without them, I apologize, but Seroptimus International paid for our banner that's flying across C Street right now. During the month of October, if you see the police station at night, you'll see that it's lit up in purple. It's really a cool showing for domestic support for domestic violence victims. And then this weekend on October 8th from 10 to 1, we're going to have an awareness fair in the parking lot of the police station with some giveaways. So if you can make it, please come out. Oh, my Detective Vitel was telling me about we're giving away free bikes and bicycle helmets, partnering with a traffic unit, and then car seats possibly as well. So please come out 10 to 1 this Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Do you like to say a couple of words?
Thank you, Mayor and Council, City staff. It's truly an honor and privilege to be recognized in the domestic violence. One in three women of domestic violence occur in the United States, and 1 in 4 of our violent crimes for men are victims of domestic violence. So those stats are alarming. We're fortunate in Oxnard to see a slight reduction in our domestic violence cases. And that's largely due to the support, the outreach that we have with our community and being able to bridge that gap to let the victims know that we do care for them and we are there to support them and to provide resources for them. So thank you, Mayor, for the support and city staff.
And I understand Chief Williams was talking to the DA yesterday that we're working together with them, the victims' home that we're trying to provide here, working with our city manager and the DA's office. So thank you. And who do we have here?
Detective Perez.
I'm Lucy.
Thank you so much. Thank you again for the excellent work. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Really good job. Thank you. So then now we go from the police to the fire chief, Alex Hamilton. Alex. Where's your team? I'm the team. You're the team? Thank you, Chief. This is a proclamation Breast Cancer Awareness Month, October 2022, where October is the National Breast Cancer Awareness Month and stands with the courageous women and men who are currently fighting this disease, and we honor those who have lost or battled to this terrible disease. Where we recognize that this year alone, we estimated 281,000 Americans across the nation will be diagnosed with breast cancer, and more than 43,000 will die from this terrible disease. The American Cancer Society estimates that there will be 30,730 new breast cancer in California this year. An estimated 4,700 will die this year in California. Whereas we encourage all residents to be proactive in the crusade against this deadly disease, including seeking the advice of healthcare providers, understanding the risk factors and the importance of getting the appropriate cancer screening test, and making life changes that may reduce the possibility of breast cancer. Whereas early detection followed by timely treatment upon diagnosis can significantly improve the patient's chances of survival. We find consolation, in understanding that survival rates have drastically improved in recent years due to the increased awareness and innovative advances in early detection and treatment. Whereas Oxnard Police and Fire Department work to help raise public awareness and the importance of early detection, and also to raise funds to fight breast cancer by wearing and selling collective pink police and fire patches. From all proceeds from the sale going to the Ribbons of Life Breast Cancer Foundation. That's an excellent program. A local nonprofit that is dedicated to making a positive difference in the lives of those struggling with the impact and implications of breast cancer in Ventura County. Now therefore, I, John C. Zaragoza, Mayor of the City of Oxnard, do hereby proclaim the month of October 22nd, 2022 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month in the city of Ox, and encourage all residents, think pink, think prevention, and think early detection. Chief.
Mayor, thank you. Council members, thank you so much for this proclamation. It truly is an honor for us to be able to wear the pink and pink ribbons and raise money for such a worthy foundation. Our personnel also get the opportunity to actually deliver care packages for newly diagnosed breast cancer patients. It's just another way that we're able to provide for our community. But I think over the last 7 years, we've donated tens of thousands of dollars to the Ribbons of Life's group. And certainly, I think all of us here, unfortunately, have been touched by cancer in one way or another. And so I can't stress enough the importance of early detection and early treatment, because it's imminently treatable these days. So thank you.
And I understand you raised quite a few dollars, because I've gone over to the collections where you have the fundraising and I want to thank you so much for that, Chief. But we'll put this down. We have another, we're not going to let you go yet. Okay, this proclamation. This proclamation is Fire Prevention Week, October 9th to the 15th, 2022, whereas the city of Oxnard is committed to ensuring safety and security of those living and visiting in the city. Fire is serious public safety concerns, both locally and nationally. Homes are locations where people are the greatest risk for fire. Home fires killed 2,580 people in the United States in 2020. According to the National Fire Protection Association, NFPA, the fire departments in the United States responded to 356,500 home fires. Unbelievable. Whereas Fire Prevention Week was established to commemorate the Great Chicago Fire, the tragic of October 9th, 1871, configuration that killed an estimated 3,300 people and left 100,000 homeless and destroyed more than 17,400 structures in more than 2,000 acres. Whereas in 2022 Fire Prevention Week theme, fire won't wait. Plan your escape effectively and serves to remind us of its importance to learn the difference of sounds and smoke and carbon monoxide alarms, excuse me. Whereas working smoke alarms cut the risk of dying in home fires in half. 3 out of 5 homes fire deaths are a result of fire properties without smoke detectors, usually because the batteries are missing, and that happens quite often. They're disconnected or are dead. Half of the home fires result from fires reported between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. when most people are sleeping. Where Oxnard residents have planned and practiced a home for fire escape plant are more prepared and will therefore be more likely to survive a fire. Whereas practicing a home escape plan twice a year ensures that everyone in the household knows what to do in case of a fire. Oxnard residents are responsive to public education measures and are able to take action to increase their safety from fire, especially in their home. I, therefore, John C. Zaragoza, Mayor of the City of Oxnard, hereby proclaim the week of the 9th to the 15th of 2022 as Fire Prevention Week in the City of Oxnard, and urge all residents to install and test their smoke detectors, practice their fire home escape plan, and support the many public activities and efforts of the Oxnard Fire Department in emergency service during the Fire Prevention Week. Thank you so much, Chief.
Mayor and City Council, once again, I very much appreciate the support. And I'd like to take this opportunity to talk a little about how important Fire Prevention Week is to highlight our issues. Since the beginning of last year, we've lost 6 residents to structure fires. And additionally, we've had 17 that have also been injured. And generally those injuries, when it comes to burn injuries, that's a very, very long road to recovery. With that being said, we did receive a grant about a year ago to install 5,000 smoke alarms. We are focused on, so we have, and these smoke alarms, they are, there we go. Perfect. Thank you. I need extra hands. So these smoke alarms are tamper-proof, 10-year long life battery smoke alarms. We are focused on our low-income neighborhoods. We are focused on the elderly, children, and at-risk residents. We currently have a number of events at mobile home parks coming up, include Via Capri, Ocean Air, and then we working on scheduling one at Hollywood Beach mobile home parks. But certainly you can reach out to us at the fire department. We do have flyers up, and I believe it's also on the website. If you need a smoke detector installed, please reach out to us and we'll get one installed in your home, or actually multiple smoke alarms installed in your homes. So thank you so much again for the support.
And my understanding, Chief, now that they're required in bedrooms, in and out, right? In and out. And also the carbon monoxide is extremely important, because carbon monoxide is a killer without you knowing that you can die about with it.
Correct. And we also have carbon monoxide alarms as well. So
Thank you, Chief. Thank you so much for, thank you. So is this for Perella?
yeah.
Thank you, Chief. So we have our last item here, and we need to call Lucky Oi. Lucky, am I pronouncing that correctly? Okay, and Mariana Para. Coming up. Oops. We have the fire department here just in case. Hi, oh my goodness. You know this young lady? Oh, yeah, how are you? I haven't seen you for a while. Can you believe? Talking about bus drivers. Thank you so much. How do you pronounce? I know it.
Oh, it's Alacoy.
Alacoy? Alacoy, okay. So thank you for being here today. This is a proclamation Indigenous People Day, October 10, 2022, where the city of Oxnard recognizes the indigenous people that have lived upon this land for thousands of years and value the progress of our society has accomplished throughout the contributions of indigenous people and culture. Whereas the city of Oxnard is located in traditional lands of Chumash people who have been stewards of this land for 13,000 plus years. Because the city of Oxnard continues to be the home of both Chumash communities and indigenous migrant communities, and where we solemnly recognize the brutal impacts and the racial injustice of the indigenous people by the colonization, assimilation, and genocide against indigenous people for over 500 years on this land. Where the city of Oxnard recognizes its obligation to uplift and invest in the future of indigenous people. Where the idea of Indigenous People Day was first proposed in 1977 by a delegation of Native nations to the United Nations, sponsored international conference against discrimination of indigenous populations in the Americas. Where the city of Oxnard wishes to celebrate and honor indigenous people in a way that better reflects the experiences of indigenous people and to hold in esteem their roots and history and contributions. Whereas the city of Oxnard wishes to preserve and promote the history and culture of all indigenous people. I now therefore, John C. Zaragoza, Mayor of the City of Oxnard, hereby proclaim October 10th, 2022 as Indigenous Peoples Day, and encourage all to continue to recognize and appreciate the celebration of all goodwill and friendship of our local indigenous people in our community. Thank you. This is dated today. Thank you so much. Who wants to speak?
Marianne, I'm very honored here to be here with my aunt, Melissa Parra Hernandez, who is the original founder of the Barbareño Ventureño Band of Mission Indians. And all her hard work through the 70s, 80s, and 90s, including with my grandmother, Annie Sandoval, who was also a Chumash plant medicine woman. Without all their hard work and dedication, we wouldn't be here today, continuing their legacy and the hard work and all the obstacles and the fractured communities we live in. And I'm thankful for the recognition of our people and the original stewards of this land. Aho.
Thank you so much. And my understanding that the Winimi means a resting area. Is that correct? You want to share a little bit about that? I was. What was that?
Waneme, Port Waneme?
Waneme.
Yeah.
Is that the way you pronounce it?
Waneme, yeah.
That was a resting place between the islands and also the mainland where they used to trade, what was it, fish for almonds and piñones and what else?
So we, on the islands, Limu, Santa Cruz, and Wima, Santa Rosa Island. Limu, Santa Cruz was a place of our antrim, which is a shell bead money. So they had, the people on the islands would make the shell bead money. We also have a relatives that come from that island, and they would transport those here with abalone, other seafood that they would transfer. So in Wainimi, it is known as a resting place because they could come from Santa Barbara up through Ventura, up through Malibu, Humaliwu to deliver and to trade with the other Chumash and to also meet other people for marriage. And it also, there was 2 launching spots from Ventura that they would launch out because those were the closest to the islands and the most calm. Also in Oxnard, Sapwatahui is also a beach that they would rest at, not too far from Wainimi, that they could also do the same thing, kind of camp, hunt, visit, have gatherings, our kiaklus or kiakli, I say it wrong every time. We have very similar words. Our gatherings with our other people and relatives. So we try to keep these same traditions alive today. Our ancient traditions are important to us. Our elders are very important to us because without them and without our language, we wouldn't be who we are. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And this young lady is right with my bus 200 years ago, right? We're talking thousands of years, we're talking. Thank you so much. And council members, would you like to share anything? No, we're okay. Thank you so much. Okay.
Kakti Alakoy Para. I'm Alakoy Para.
Haku Kianti Kakti Robin Redwater.
I'll keep my very Spaniard name because of my father. But it's Joe Hernandez. Right. This is not nothing to do with Chumash. It's actually Apache, but you know, yeah, but I was Apache, and in the same sense, though, I mean, I recall when we were doing some sort of as far as like archaeological, you know, investigation. I remember we were out in Bubbling Springs. I was actually working for her father, and I recall when we found it was like a battle scene. I remember they found arrowheads and also a walrus corpse and such. It kind of freaked me out, to be honest with you, because, you know, they told me what a human bone would, you know, would be porous, and I touched something that was porous, and I was like, oh my, you know, I freaked out. Strangely enough, for 10 minutes, I swear, it rained for 10 minutes and stopped. And I have no idea what that means, but I'll tell you this, it settled in me deep. And so I know that those homes built out there by Bubbling Springs, yeah, definitely Wanimi was what it was, what it is.
Well, thank you so much, you know, to the Chumash Indians for all your good work you've done for thousands and thousands of years. Thank you again. Congratulations. Thank you. Minute, hold it. Reverse. We're gonna take a photo. You want to hold it? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Genevieve. Thank you.
No, it's just a good camera. You can hear the click.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I think they can. Thank you so much for visiting today. Thank you. Appreciate it very, very much. Our next item is item E. This is public comments not in the agenda. And we have individuals that like to speak and they got 3 minutes to do so. And I have Madam Clerk, 2 speakers, Francine Casanon and Ty Hartley. Francine Casanon, is she here or available?
Yes, she's here.
Okay. Mhm. Hello, Francine.
Council,
Got 3 minutes. Thank you. Welcome.
I came to formally give you my objection to the Aquatic Center.
Okay.
Not that the community couldn't use a pool, but not the Aquatic Center. When the city has so much other problems, keeping their other facilities open and functioning, like the Colonia Pool. You can't keep that open more than 3 months of a year. Yet we're going to keep an aquatic center with that lack of facilities and everything else we have open all year round. Not to mention we're in a drought. We're advising homeowners not to water. River Park recently received a letter from the city to stop watering to one of their HOAs, but yet we're going to put hundreds of gallons of water and constantly having to put hundreds of gallons of water into the aquatic center to keep it. Not to mention your original application for the grant was for a small community pool. It wasn't for an aquatic center. And when I submitted my complaint to the state auditor's office and to the inspector general's office to make sure that it was kosherly done, it wasn't. Those are 2 different things. Your original grant was only for a small community pool for the $5 million. Not the 60 million that you're looking to borrow during one of the worst crashes we've had in a few years. Interest rates are going up to 7%. They're anticipated after the holidays. And we're going to borrow $60 million at a 7% rate possibly. We don't know. I mean, the euro right now is getting crashed and our interest rates are rising. And we will be on the hook for that much money. And then when we can't keep it open, and we have no maintenance plan that's been submitted with it, nothing, just the plan to build a pool. And what's going to happen is we're going to wind up in trouble again, like we have with everything else we've done. So I hope you would reconsider or postponing it till we can get better financing and you actually have the community involved. You should do as much outreach as you did for Amazon, that's what you should do for South Oxnard. Try doing that much outreach that you did for Amazon, that you paid for Amazon, to get enough people for turnout. Some neighborhoods did, some neighborhoods were uninformed until they saw it in the paper. So please keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next speaker is Ty Hartley. Is she here or is she in Zoom?
She's not here in the council chamber and I don't see her in the Zoom either.
Okay, so any raised hands, anybody else that might like to speak? Do we have a raised hand?
Yes, one person just raised their hand.
Go ahead.
Good evening. Can you hear
First-
me?
oh,
Yes, go ahead. State your name.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Ronald Arwejo. I'm speaking to you as the chair of the East Village neighborhood and as a member of INCO's Candidate Forum Planning Committee. I'd just like to invite you and all the public and all interested parties to a candidates forum that will be held in the council chambers next Wednesday, October 12th at 7 p.m. There are going to be flyers and stuff on social media out with more information that you can also attend in person through Zoom and also submit questions until this upcoming weekend. So we greatly appreciate the cities and INCO's hosting this important event to ensure that the voters know the most information from those who will be representing and governing them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ronald. Ty Hartley, is she on or no?
No, I don't see her in Zoom or in person.
No other speakers then? Okay,
Mayor, no additional speakers virtually or in person at this time.
thank you. Okay, then our next item is item F. This is reports of the city manager. And do we have city manager? And I'm sure that also our city attorney would like to make some comments. Go ahead, Mr. City Manager.
Yes, so item 1 is a placeholder. We don't have anything for this meeting, so we're going to move ahead to item 2, and this is to reauthorize the Assembly Bill 361 rules so that we can continue to have both in-person and remote participation. So we do need a vote for that.
Okay,
And
that's item 2.
yeah, if we could read the item.
Yeah,
too.
go ahead and read it.
Okay, so that is item F2 and subject is COVID-19 update from Director of Emergency Services. The recommendation is that the City Council reauthorize remote teleconference meetings of the legislative bodies of the City of Oxnard in accordance with Assembly Bill 361 based on the following findings. 1, the current COVID-19 situation, particularly with its variants, is causing and will continue to cause imminent risks to the health and safety of persons within the city, including city council members, city staff, appointed officials, and members of the public. 2, state and local officials continue to impose or recommend measures to promote social distancing. And 3, the governor's COVID-19 state of emergency is still in effect. And 4, numerous public agencies throughout Ventura County are still operating in accordance with Assembly Bill 361 for the reasons stated herein.
Thank you. Okay, council members, do we have motion? Motion for Councilman Turan, excuse me, Perello. Second by Councilman Madrigal. Roll call.
Councilmember Perello. Councilmember Madrigal.
Yes.
Councilmember Basua.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem McDonald.
Aye.
Councilmember Turan.
Yes.
Mayor Zaragoza.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
And just to
Okay.
confirm, we had no registered speakers on that item or any other speakers that had submitted speaker cards.
Mayor, we do not have any speakers on this item at this time, virtually or in person.
Thank you. Oh, so Mr. City Manager, City Attorney, you want to make some comments there on regarding our
Said city attorney.
go. No comments? No. No, you go ahead.
Mr. City Attorney, I think the mayor's asking about making some, providing advanced information on an outline regarding our newly, our new vacancy for District 6.
Yes, and because this isn't on the agenda tonight, this will be a very brief, just
Right.
summary of
Mhm.
what we can expect to see at the next council meeting. So first, by way of background, a vacancy arose yesterday when Councilmember Lopez submitted her resignation and took the oath of office as county supervisor. State law requires the council to take one of 2 actions when a vacancy occurs, either call a special election or make an appointment to fill the vacancy. Oxnard City Code Section 2-3.1 provides that if the council decides to fill the vacancy by appointment, the appointee only holds office until the date of a special election, which shall immediately be called to fill the remainder of the term, and the council must take such action within 60 days. Under either action, the successor must be a resident of Council District 6 and a registered voter. The next regularly established election dates are March 7th and November 7th, 2023. When a special election is called, it must be held on a regularly established election date. If the council calls the special election by November 1, that would meet the county registrar deadline for holding a special election on March 7, 2023. If the council calls the special election after November 1, the next regularly established election date that conforms to the county timeline is November 7, 2023. To summarize, staff will bring an agenda item back to council on October 18. The 3 options will be as follows. 1, appoint someone to serve for 3 months until the first possible special election date of March 7. 2, appoint someone to serve until the next possible special election date November 7, 2023. Or 3, call for the March 7, 2023 special election and don't appoint anyone to fill the vacancy. So again, that's just a summary of what is going to be brought back to you at the October 18th meeting.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. So I know we can't discuss this, but I would like to encourage all the constituencies from District 6 to participate in our next meeting so we can get some information from them and some input from all those individuals that would like to then participate in the either appointment or whether we can have a special election on the 18th of October. So please attend if you're residents of District 6. Thank you.
I would just like to ask,
We can't, the 18th. Thank you so much. Okay. Our next item is item G, and this is a time for the city council members to have any brief announcements on their activities, or also to have requests that we have any item be placed for future agendas, and council members had 3 minutes each. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I, as much as I'd like to, I won't take my full 3 minutes. Just say that Wednesday, tomorrow morning is Gold Coast Transit District meeting, and Friday morning is Ventura County Transportation Commission meeting. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilman Masuan.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to take this opportunity and congratulate Supervisor Lopez on her appointment. Always wishing her the best. And I also want to make a comment about the Aquatic Center. I know it's been a subject in many people's homes, on social media, and some of the comments here tonight. I just want to say that staff did do outreach, a lot of outreach. And I just want to make sure that that's very clear. They went beyond the outreach. And maybe at some point we can get a little bit of a report of all the outreach that happened, because it was extensive. And residents did have an opportunity to come out and give us their feedback. So I want to make sure that the residents know that that was done. And the Aquatic Center is something that is going to be something great for Oxnard for many years.
And I understand we had about 2,000 plus individuals that participated in this.
Yes, it was staff. I commend staff. They did an absolutely great job on the outreach efforts.
Okay, Councilor Madrigal.
Thank you very much. Again, congratulations to Supervisor Lopez. Over the last couple of weeks, I've had the pleasure of actually attending community events right around my district, and just this past weekend, the Multicultural Festival as well. Big thing this upcoming week is meetup cleanup at Colonia Park. So anyone who may have their Saturday morning open, by all means, please come out and help. It's a great event run by the city, cleaning up our local parks and that whole aspect of community, which is great. Speaking of community, I want to wish a very happy birthday to my grandmother. It's her 86th birthday, so happy birthday to my grandma.
Happy birthday. Hey, Councilor Sharon.
Thank you, Mayor, and happy birthday to your grandmother, Councilmember Madrigal. I had the pleasure to be able to attend the Wagon Wheel Neighborhood Council meeting and Sierra Linda Neighborhood Council meetings, and thank our city manager and our community services director, or cultural and community service director, for attending that meeting as well. And then the River Park Neighborhood Council meeting, which was just last week. And I do want to give a thanks and congratulations to the now former chair of River Park Neighborhood Council, Clay Downing, who did announce at the meeting publicly that he has accepted a position in another state and will be relocating, and was a bittersweet moment, but I want to thank him for his service to the River Park neighborhood. And thank again the executive board who are now stepping up to continue the work on their meetings. And then I wasn't able to attend the Carriage Square one. I anticipate our mayor will speak a little bit about that. But they did have a meeting, and Len always has really good folks come out. So I also attended the Multicultural Festival. I want to thank all the staff and community members and folks who had booths out there, especially our staff who brought it all together. It was very, very engaging. My kids had to go to every single booth and get every single thing stamped so that they didn't even know they'd get something at the end. They just wanted to get all the stamps. And so, they got that all completed, and it was great. And we used it as an education opportunity to learn about other countries and other cultures. And I will say the Cambodia booth was great. He had quizzes and, guessing on, Cambodian culture, find it on the globe. And so it was really good. So thank you again to all the staff who helped put that together. And that is all my comments. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Perla?
Thank you. I had the opportunity to attend the ceremony for the police graduation. We bring 4 new officers to the city of Oxnard, 4 men and 2 women's. I'd recommend it for any council member I'm sure that they've all attended in the past, but this was very impressive event. You got to hear stories about various people. You saw them go through the line. You also saw the multi-generational thing, grandparents handing out the certificates to the person just initiated into the police public safety. I'm very grateful that I went. I did attend the cultural affair at the Plaza Park, and I want to thank the League of Women Voters. There was a forum, and I was able to participate in the League of Women Voters. I would also like to thank the indigenous people that made the presentation here. And at one time, Columbus Day was a national holiday. Some people still in areas still celebrate that. But one other thing that I would like to say with respect to, I know that my chair here is empty and she has moved on to a larger job. But anybody in the city of Oxnard, doesn't matter the district you are, you can reach out to any of the 6 remaining up here. The mayor serves at large entire city, but anybody can ask anything from any of these council members for help. If they can't help, they can pass it on to somebody that can. I'd like the public to not forget that. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd just like to share that last week, I got interviewed by Channel 9, Channel 2, that Oxnard was named the most neighborly city in the United States. It came in number 4. And I got interviewed by Channel 9, and I just want to share that we were probably the best neighborly city in 25, about 4th of 25 cities that they interviewed. Rochester, New York was number 1, Madison, Wisconsin, 2, Provo, Utah, 3, and Oxnard was number 4. And we competed against a lot of major cities. And I just want to share with you that it's been, the LA broadcast has been there, and we've had something like 70,000 views about Oxnard. And we got a lot of good comments. We had a couple of good comments that were not good. But again, like I said before, there's always 1 or 2 people that regardless of what we do, is not going to be good. But I just want to share with you that we're very proud of it. In fact, when I go to the store, I go, whatever it says, oh, we saw you on TV, we saw you, the community, Oxnard is great. So we need to kind of, raise our hand and say how good we are. We're a very neighborly city. And in fact, my neighbors went over to my house the other day, and in fact, she went and took a cake. Can you believe that? So anyway, I just want to share that. Also want to thank Adam Lopez and the CRC and also for the multicultural event we had at Plaza Park. Adam Lopez is the chair of that committee. And I just want to thank Martha Guion from our staff. She's the chairperson of the multicultural event, Luli Lopez, and also Samantha and Danya for their hard work and dedication to the very, very successful event, the multicultural event at Plaza Park. And it was really enjoyable to see a lot of the kids and children. And one of the things, as Councilman Turan mentioned, they had a little passport for the kids that went from place to place to, they went from Bolivia to Brazil to Cambodia to Chile to forth, and they would mark this, stamp this, this events that they went to in the ICO, and they got, what was it, a prize? Is that what it was at the end?
They had a choice of certificates to get a free meal.
A free meal. So I just want to thank Luli again. She was really instrumental in coming up with a little passport from nation to nation. So it was really, really great to see that. And of course, we have had a lot of the sponsors. We had the Port of Wanimi, Montecito, the bank, the also we had Gold Coast Health Plan, Ventura County Credit Union, and also Ventura County Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Phi sorority. Anyway, it was great. It was really great. And also I want to say that I had the opportunity this morning to go out and congratulate Vinny Lopez, Supervisor Lopez now this morning, and to congratulate her on her position. And I got invited to go up to see her office and so forth. And she did an excellent job, and she was well received this morning over at the Board of Supervisors. And also, again, as it was mentioned before, I had the opportunity to, with Alex, our city manager, Martha Guillen, to the Carriage Square Neighborhood Council with Len Schulman. Mr. City Manager, I counted about 30 people there, because it was very significant, well-attended neighborhood. They do a really good job, and they have a lot of professionals living in that neighborhood, and it was really well-attended, so very happy to do it. And I had other numerous places that I went to, so it was a great 2 weeks. So thank you for that. Our next item is, yes, sir, go ahead. Mhm.
My apologies. I would never forgive myself if I didn't admit that I heard every single one of my colleagues say it, and I even wrote it down, and I still didn't say congratulations to now Supervisor Lopez for her appointment and her swearing in today. So I just wanted to go ahead and get that off of my chest and go home with a clean conscience that I congratulated her. So
And one
it
of
took
the
me a hard time for that.
One of the things that we mentioned too is that because she's there now, we're going to continue with the partnership between the city and the county, which we needed desperately, and I think it's going to work out. And we had concurrence from every single supervisor that was there today. So
Real quick, I didn't say anything about congratulating Member Lopez, but now that Gabe has put me in the corner, I'm gonna say congratulations to Board of Supervisor Representative VNA Lopez. Congratulations, job well done.
Okay, then our city manager is, let me see, we have a G1, and we have a subject appointment of a member to serve on the City Parks and Recreation Commission. Okay, so Shirley Klima, Mr. City Manager, you want to go ahead and?
So this is just the appointment for Ishmael Ulloa to the Parks, Recreation and Community Services Commission representing District 3. I don't know if you have any comments, except obviously to thank him, but we do need a vote on this.
Thank you. So we need a motion to. Any speakers on this item or other items that we must?
Mayor, we do not have any speakers on this item virtually or in person.
Thank you. So we need a motion on this item. Moved by Mayor Pro Tem, second by Oscar Madrigal. Oh,
And just a quick comment since we have the second, I just want to, whenever I can, take a moment, and Councilmember Perello is always good about this too, and kind of instilled it in me that our CAG members, our commissioners are doing this on a voluntary basis. They take the time to apply and get all their information together, and then our council members review them and do the appointment. I just want to thank our newest commissioner for stepping up and being willing to contribute to their community. And like Councilmember Perello says, they don't even give us a cup of coffee or tank of gas or anything. So thank you so much.
And Councilman, thank you for reminding me of that, because as I said, we over at the multicultural event, we have hundreds of people serving, helping us out. They didn't get paid. They don't get paid. It's all volunteer to do it for the betterment of Oxnard. And also want to thank our city manager and assistant city manager, Ashley, they were there too, supporting the events. Thank you so much. Thank you for the reminder.
I would like to see, I see a member of the staff back there, Samantha Sparrow. I would like to thank her for the work she did involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Samantha. Okay. Okay, our next item is the,
We need to do the roll call.
okay, well, we can try to get ahead. Let's take a vote.
Mayor Pro Tem McDonald,
Yes.
Councilmember Madrigal,
Aye.
Councilmember Basua,
Aye.
Councilmember Parello, Councilmember Turan,
Yes.
Mayor Zaragoza,
Yes,
motion passes 6-0.
thank you. Our next item now, where they were there is, this is a review of the information consent item. And do we have any public speakers on this item, either here or in Zoom?
Mayor, we do not have any public speakers on this item virtually or in person at this time.
Okay, council members, we have items 1 through 5. What's the pleasure of the board? Move recommendation by Basua,
Second.
second by Madrigal. Oh, do we have one? Okay, roll call.
Make the poor.
Poor
person
Mr.
run. Roll call.
Poor babe.
Mayor, can you repeat who motion and second?
Motion to Pacific.
Motion by Basua and second by
Madrigal.
Madrigal. Roll call.
Councilmember Basua,
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem McDonald,
Aye.
Councilmember Parello, Councilmember Turan,
Yes.
Mayor Zaragoza,
Yes,
motion passes 6-0.
thank you so much. And so our next item is K1. This is going to be our last item. This is time and place set for a public hearing. Item K1, Community Development. The subject's approval of the amended 2001 to 29 six-cycle housing element. The recommendation is the City Council, 1, conduct a public hearing, 2, adopt a resolution approving the amended 2021-2029 six-cycle housing element as Chapter 8 within the 2030 General Plan. And 3, direct city staff to finalize the amended 2021-29 six-cycle housing element into the 2030 General Plan as Chapter 8 of Goals and Policies document forward the amended 2021-2022 29 housing element to the State of California Department of Housing Community Development, ACD, for certification. And we start off with the city clerk certification and publication in any written communications of any. Madam Clerk?
Mayor, we had one public comment for J2 that I just bought the speaker card up there from Pat Brown. Can we do that?
Okay, we're not quite there yet, so.
No, that was for J2, the one for the item we just did.
For J2?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, then J2, that would be Pat Brown. Pat Brown, J2, on the consent.
I just want to know all about the Aspire apartment that's going to be located at 536 Maida Street. Because I am the neighborhood chair and have been for a number of years since we started the neighborhood. And I want to be part of that. I'll tell you why. The condominiums on 7th Street, when they were built, I saw the plans in advance, and I told the fellow that was the architect, haven't seen him around in years, but anyway, I told him that he can't build the way he has designed, that I can lay it out another way. They can get a few more apartments in there in the process, and it won't create a big noise hazard. And so he decided to do that, but he was very unhappy about doing it. I don't know why, because they got more units in there than they had planned on. But I can tell you that having been there many times and with their the owners of each of some of the units, They are very happy that the design was changed around as well. This wasn't a design of the actual units. This was a layout design that could have caused a severe problem. The problem was they wanted to have garages on these two floors, 2 stories. They wanted to have the garages that people would go into and out of in a secured place where no one would see. And a block wall between the mobile home park, the north end of it, and the buildings. I said, you know, you could have all kinds of theft and all kinds of damage going on back there because nobody's ever going to see it. There aren't even windows up above on the 2nd floor or 1st floor, either one. There are no windows to see anything that happens back there. And I think that's a terrible mistake. And so he agreed with that and did it that way, the way I had suggested. And everybody's happy as far as that's concerned in the design. And because of that, I would really like to see this layout before it's finalized, so that if it's going to create some problems like this was going to create, we can get rid of the problems before they start it, and everything will be fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ramirez, I know we voted on this item, but can you share a little bit more information on this item number 2, J2?
Thank you, Mayor Emilio Ramirez, Housing Director. The item before you, the Aspire Apartments, is an affordable housing project proposed by Many Mansions, 100% affordable ADA units, and it's a letter of support for financing that they are applying to the state. In terms of the request to be involved in design, that is a private matter with Many Mansions, and I'm happy to introduce the constituent to Many Mansions, and so that they can have a conversation.
Okay, let me see.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Mr. Ramirez, I know that Ms. Brown has been extremely active in the 5 Point neighborhoods for way before I got on this council, way before. And she's vigilant in some specific areas like a hawk. So I would recommend that I'm not asking that she get to change anything, but her input should be valued more than the person on the street. Right. So I hope that can be passed on.
I will make the introduction to.
Thank you.
Thank
Many
you.
Mansions.
Thank you.
I do want to clarify, though, this project already received its land use entitlement. It went through noticing requirements already. So we are past that stage of seeking changes. It's not that she can't speak to Many Mansions further, but we did do the proper outreach associated with that permit.
The legal requirements. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ramirez.
Thank you.
Okay, we're back to we had the certification and publications. We've read that.
Mayor, there was a legal notice for this public hearing that was published in the Vida newspaper on September 22nd, 2022. The clerk's office has received 1 written communication on this item.
Thank you. Okay. Madam Clerk, then members of the public are invited to sign up to speak on this item on the city's website. And a person who did not sign up may do so now by following the instructions posted on the agenda for this meeting and at the city's website, oxnard.org, city meetings. The planning and sustainability manager, Kathleen Mallory, and the city's consultants, in accordance with Measure E, posted a video presentation regarding this item and are available to answer any questions the council members may have before we take public testimony in this item. The council members will deliberate after the public hearing has been closed. Do any council members have any questions at this time? Okay, Councilman Trump.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm hoping that our staff, I think it'd be Miss Mallory, would be willing to summarize the item we have before us just for the benefit of the public. So when folks see it in the future, or if they're watching it now, they have some kind of context, since Measure M prohibits them from seeing it live tonight.
And Mallory?
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Tron. The city met the city received its regional housing needs assessment, allocation of housing units that it's required to build from 2021 through 2029. That is 8,549 units to be constructed during that 8-year time window. That's a number that was established, or time periods, excuse me, that was established by the Southern California Association of Governments. We put together a plan on where those units should be constructed. And that is 8,549 units of all income categories, from extremely low up to above, moderate and above. We submitted in that plan, which included rezonings and a number of ordinances to help facilitate construction. We submitted that to the state in October of last year. In January of 2022, we received a comment letter from the state with some edits and suggestions on how we could adjust our housing element. That's a normal practice. Actually, our letter was shorter than many others. I just wanted to state that we were pleased with the level of minor comments. From January to July, we worked with HCD staff to make the necessary edits. Many of them were minor, just added metrics for timeframes in which they wanted us to comply with different programs to comply with state law. We were already in compliance with state law in many of the areas. Some of the requests from HCD was to move up timing to complete certain programs. There was a change in the number of accessory dwelling units that we would utilize to fulfill our lower income housing unit allocation. We had built in a buffer thinking that they might do that. So we were fine to reduce the number. They added one program, a targeted windshield survey. They asked for us to document more robustly our community engagement. And then there was also some actions that council took in rent stabilization, a few other items that they just, and approvals on projects that they just wanted reflected in the document. There were also some minor edits and some input that we received from Barbara McRae that we felt was good to add into the document. All in all, we are very pleased with the document before you. We are very happy that we'll be only about the 30th city in the SCAG region to have a certified housing element. That's 14% of the jurisdictions in the SCAG region. Only the county of Ventura and Ventura County has an adopted housing element. We would be the only city other than the county to have it certified. The document before you is a collective work effort, and this document, if it is certified or approved by council this evening, meets all of the requirements of HCD, and they will approve our housing element provided it is approved by council as presented this evening. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Any other questions? Okay, Councilman Perillo.
Yes, as there are members of the public that love to claim the city is making mistakes and errors and basically, lack of a better way, to screwing up. Please explain again, the changes that were requested, as you used, were minor comments. They were not errors.
Yes.
And we have that identified in the program. And as it's been mentioned, very few people will take the opportunity to look at the Measure M, the work that's been done by the staff. And it states for non-substantial changes, minor. And so you did not sugarcoat that. You laid it out exactly in plain English what was going on.
Yes, Councilmember, Mayor.
And I do have a couple of questions about the presentation that was made by the other lady. I don't know if she's on right now, but there was an issue about a language isolated area in the city of Oxnard. Do we have more than one language isolated area in the city of Oxnard?
Mayor, council members, that was Heather Davis, and I believe this was a linguistically isolated area. I believe
Those are
there's,
the words that were used, yes.
yes, that is the area, that is this phrase. I'm going to state, I believe we just have one linguistically isolated area.
Is there some attempt on the city's part through this body to try to break that up so that we can blend them with the community?
The intent is that we do outreach to meet all segments of our population. So the goal is when it is a document, when it is an issue, that is an issue that touches different bodies or entities or groups who cannot communicate, that we provide a way for them to receive notice through translated notice or an interpreter translation like we have at these meetings. So that is the intent, is that we outreach with our community and that we engage them in the process.
So we do have in policy somewhere or practice, we do have a threshold that reaches, when we reach that threshold, then we step in.
The threshold, Councilmember Mayor, the threshold is if it's an item that is going to impact our community, if it's an issue that is going to drive an approach that is going to create something different in our community.
And then that gets to my next question. The just cause eviction, and listening to what's just transpired in LA County, how from the Measure M presentation, has anything changed that's going to impact us with this potential eviction issue?
I'll have the housing director address that,
Okay,
please.
Mr. Ramirez. Mhm.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Emilio Ramirez. The tenant protection just cause eviction ordinances are in place and they're effective and they're being run right now. So no change from the time that the council adopted those ordinances and they have been put in place.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Those are my questions.
Thank you. Okay, other council members? Okay, thank you, Mrs. Valerie. Thank you for that. I'm now going to open the public testimony portion of this hearing. Speakers have 3 minutes to speak on this item. Madam Clerk, do we have any speakers on this item other than the list that I have here?
We don't have any speakers in person, but we have speakers virtually.
Okay, so I'm going to start off with the list that I have here. And we're going to start off with Barbara Mackey Ortiz, followed by Sean Oxborn. Barbara Mackey Ortiz. Is she?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, great. Mayor Zaragoza and members of the council. My name is Barbara Macri Ortiz, and I'm really pleased to be here tonight. I wish to thank Kathleen, Mallory, and her staff, Heather Davis, and folks that have worked on the element. They worked really hard. You know, HCD, their standards for review kind of changed. And they made things, they put the approval level much higher. More effort had to go into it, particularly for the affirmatively furthering fair housing issues. And this was really the first time that any jurisdiction had to deal with that. So I was very pleased because, as Kathleen said, everybody got letters from HCD and they were all really, really long. So in that sense, ours wasn't as long as some of the others in terms of what they were asking the jurisdictions to do. You know, HCD is very serious now. They have an enforcement unit. So the city, all the cities will be held to the standards, you know, the objectives and programs within the housing element. So approving the element is one factor. And then the challenge will be for us to stick on the programs and follow the timing on those to get the job done throughout the planning period. But I would say that at this point, Oxnard is really a leader in this. There are some jurisdictions that are just sitting on their hands. They're clueless or they are just kind of ignoring the responsibilities. And Oxnard has really, I'd say, done a good job in terms of taking a leadership role in and commitment to actually provide the type of housing element that HCD is looking for these days. And so again, I want to thank the staff, particularly Kathleen and Heather, because I know people had to work very, very hard to make this happen. And they did. And they were able to keep on a schedule to get this element back to you in time because we do have some deadlines, I think, in terms
30 seconds.
In terms of actually getting it approved. So thank you all and thank everybody in Oxnard for their hard work in getting this done. Thank you. Have a good
Thank you,
evening.
Barbara. Thank you. Our next speaker is Sean Oxborough. Sean?
Yes, hi. Hello, council, and can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead. Mhm.
Hi. Yeah, my name is Sean Oxborough. I'm a member with the Southwest Regional Carpenters. I'm a apprentice, and I really appreciate what we're doing for Oxnard. I've lived here my whole life, born and raised, and what we're doing for the housing development is great, and what we need to do is more of that. And I'm happy that we're getting this through, and I appreciate you guys, everything you guys done for the city, and I hope that we can keep it going and just keep developing, this great city. So I appreciate you guys' time. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Our next speaker is Jonathan Duran. Jonathan Duran.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes. Mhm.
Hey, thank you so much, Mayor, City Council members, and staff. Again, like I said, from the previous speaker, my name is Jonathan Graham, a representative with Local 805 here that covers Ventura, Santa Barbara, and San Luis Obispo County. Again, this is a great thing that we're doing. Some of the things that needs to be addressed is, like my previous speaker, Sean Oxborough, he is an apprentice. Like any apprentice, it comes to a time that it does get a little hard to find work, and it becomes hard to have an aspect of, hey, where do I go next? What we need to have is some type of skilled and trained workforce and local hire attached to some of these housing elements, because what we're seeing now throughout Ventura County, Santa Barbara, San Luis Obispo, and throughout Southern California is, yes, a lot of developments are happening, but the mechanism and the element there that needs to be local. Put locals back to work in their own cities is not there. And what we want is here in Ventura County, and especially in Oxnard, is because we need to have that aspect of local hire and an opportunity to put people within the city back to work in the community. Very similar to what's going on with the PLA in Oxnard Unified High School District is, hey man, they're knocking it out of the park. I believe right now we're over 7% local hire within the school in that agreement. But in the housing element, we're falling short. Building homes is something that we needed. It's there. We all are in that same agreement. We all need to build affordable homes. And affordable means, hey, if I work on this home and I'm going to be building this home, I should be able to live in this home. But that falls short. Myself, being a third generation carpenter, my grandfather and my father were in that same boat. They're like, hey, I worked on these homes and I had an opportunity to be able to purchase that home. Because, hey, guess what? Skilled training allowed me to be able to do that.
30 seconds.
So in this housing element, I believe it should have some type of mechanism to be able to have skilled and trained and a accredited apprenticeship program. But again, we all understand that the housing crisis that we're going through right now is it, but we also need to repurpose some of the land that we do have available. So AB 2011 that the governor just signed for allowing commercial and industrial area purpose. That will show you guys. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.
Thank you. Manley McNish,
Manley McNitch is not here.
not available. Scott Zimmerman,
Yes, he's here.
Scott Zimmerman, you're up.
Yes, hello, good evening, honorable council members, everyone. Echo the last couple of speakers here. It was Scott Zimmerman with a Carver's Local 805. Yeah, this housing element's a good thing. We need to utilize accredited apprenticeship programs like the Southwest Council of Carpenters does have in place, providing a means of providing an area standard wage, livable wage, good benefits for those workers and their families, and providing a pathway to live the American dream, and be able to stay within their community, work within their community, live there, recreate there. It's just a win-win all the way through if we can implement some kind of language to utilize local skilled and trained workers coming out of an apprenticeship program. It's kind of like what you're seeing come down through state legislation with AB 2011 and enacting that type of residential prevailing wage, something that can lift people up, provide great opportunity for themselves, for their families, not having to commute 2-3 hours back and forth into the LA area and back. I've done it personally myself. It's really challenging to raise a family, be there for them on a daily basis. And we really want to see that happen for the locals of Oxnard and just elevate them, give them those skills and something that lasts a lifetime. Once you learn something like this in a trade like this, you can't take it away. You can go anywhere with it. Let's provide that pathway. We're making some good steps here. So this is good progress. If we can see something like that implemented, you're only going to carry on to the next generation. The next generation, it just pays tenfold. Appreciate your time tonight, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak. I hope we can see something like this move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Madam Clerk, do we have any other speakers, either here in the audience or on Zoom?
Mayor, we do not have any additional speakers virtually or in person at this time.
Okay, no additional speakers, and then if we don't, then I'm going to close up the public hearing. Council members, any comments? Madrigal, Councilmember Madrigal.
Thank you. Thank you very much to everyone who has put in a lot of time and effort into this. I know that it's been a long time since probably April of 2021. I know this has gone a while. I do have a few kind of questions about some of the sites that are in the element. Some of which, could go with the St. John's parcel, which some of that is mostly grass within the hospital. And I don't know if there's a response from the hospital. Another one is actually right by here by the by City Hall. We have the 111 South A Street. Part of that property is actually currently a community garden. There is the 1601 North Oxnard Boulevard site, which currently is a very popular restaurant. And then over time, I've had many talks with people in education. One thing that they always brought up to me, the validity of having anything over 10 acres be a part of the housing element for low density. The key thing that they focused on was the Pleasant Valley and Oxnard Boulevard site, which is right by a junior high school. I believe the site is at 13.94 acres. So would that go through with the state?
Okay, Mallory.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. I'm going to need to tag team this with Heather Davis, who is instrumental with site inventory. But the big picture is that the sites that we presented and went through the public process on, we presented to council, planning commission. In totality, they help us meet our RENA numbers. The St. John's property, we outreached to the property owners, all property owners, and when we were looking at sites inventory. And the idea was to consider alternatives, BRP, Business and Research Park, and for parcels that were vacant or underutilized, of which the St. John's parcel is one. We sent correspondence, we had meetings, we put information on our website and said, looks like this is a viable parcel. Are you interested? There was no objection. So we went ahead and utilized that as a potential parcel. And it made sense also specifically, well, all of them made sense in our professional opinion, but on the BRP one, St. John's, it made sense because of proximity to transit, medical services, and retail. The other properties, I don't want to put Heather necessarily on the spot, but the other the other parcels you asked about, 1111 South A Street, I'll need to look that up.
Is that the Dr. Lopez lot, I think? Yeah, I think Dr. Lopez, right.
And as well as the 1601 North Oxnard site. So I'm going to have Heather respond on that and bring those two items up. In the meantime, actually, that's the prior version. In the meantime, I wanted to speak to the issue of 10 acres and the housing element, and that your metric for site inventory. The site inventory and process for which you identify possible sites is completely changed. In the past, we looked at 10 acres. And in this round, the stringency for site inventory, it was very, very difficult to scurry up sites. Additionally, the standard had to do with, did it have, was it constrained? Was it more than 5 acres? You couldn't even include it. Because the issue of feasibility of development was one that was really germane to the state. So with that, Heather, are you prepared to speak regarding 1601 North Oxnard Boulevard?
Heather, can you hear us, Heather?
All right, well, and I can also bring it up on my laptop as well.
Councilman Madrigal, just to get clarification, are you looking for an answer on the feasibility of these being constructed, or the same concern that was raised during the original site assessment of them? It sounds like you're going to the likelihood of development, or is it the support of the owner for residential development?
We kind of go towards both, because technically wouldn't the state just be able to say these are Xed out because feasibility and other aspects to it? Because technically when it counts, same thing that happened with the ADUs. How we
So-
had to number those down.
So Kathleen, maybe if you can address it from the more global instead of each
Yeah, that's
site
great.
of how the state analyzes the sites and what we put forward.
Absolutely. And I was just going to suggest that. So what we do is on a yearly basis, we go through, and I do have the site 1601. I can speak to that. But globally, we do on a yearly basis report to the state on how we're doing in meeting our numbers. This is our best estimate in what we envision in terms of looking at the state's site inventory guidebook. Our best estimate on how we can meet our RENA numbers. And all these parcels, the property owners received notice on. We submitted this inventory and a very robust detail on APN, zoning, all this information on each and every single site to the state. The state went through at detail and looked at all the sites. As I mentioned at the beginning of my introductory comments, we have a buffer in there, Councilmember Madrigal. So should these two sites you're mentioning or others not be developed as we envision, not only are we on the hook for a no net loss, meaning every single year that we report on feasibility, we have to come back and in that document identify if we need to rezone additional properties to meet that number. So through the annual reporting process, and then also the no net loss provision, it's an actual program. We have to do a matrix and documentation on if we're meeting the numbers. So if these two parcels wind up not being constructed on, we have programs and reporting to the state to make up for that difference.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Is that the Lopez parcel, is that commercial or residential?
Yeah, I don't have that number at my, I don't have that zoning at my.
Because I know
fingertips.
there's residential towards, I think, what, Second Street or First Street. And then there's commercial to the Ashley.
It's actually designated for downtown general, so it allows for the residential and it's 3 parcels, not just a single parcel within that block. So it's nearly a half acre
Mhm.
zone downtown general
Okay,
and anticipates potentially up to 48 units.
thank you. Any other questions, Councilmember Bergen, Councilmember Perrella?
Thank you for the presentation. The issue with respect to any of these developments, there is a lot of questions being asked about any new development. Is there adequate sewer or water for any development for to come on? My understanding is there is. Can you enlighten us on that, or is that for a different topic?
I can provide some high level, and then I noticed that the Public Works Director is on if you wanted to add anything else. The programs and the text in the housing element speak to providing sufficient water and sewer. We HCDs straight out asked, do you have sufficient water and sewer? The answer is yes. There are areas where through standard conditions of approval, development projects will have to do upgrades or add in additional sizing components. That's standard with any development. And that would occur through the conditions of approval imposed on a development project. In terms of water, the numbers that are in our housing element were taken into consideration with our full general plan build out. So we work very closely with the Public Works Department, and as part of our urban water management plan, looked at the housing unit allocation to ensure that the numbers in our housing element were in alignment with our urban water management plan, and they were.
Thank you. The second question, the property around St. John's Hospital, at one time it was zoned for medical research and it was a specific area. And I remember the former mayor, Mr. Flynn, brought some things to the attention of the council that when we lose those zones, there's nowhere else close proximity to a hospital. Does that come into play when there's looking at this property near the hospital? Could the zoning would have to, I think the zoning would have to change?
Well, it doesn't come into play with the housing element. We looked at ideas of studying potential for housing related support uses in the BRP zone. The St. John's area is BRP. And one of the programs in the housing element speaks to looking at options in BRP areas, including along and C2 areas along the high quality transit corridor. So it doesn't come into play to the prior mayor's comment, but we did look at what it makes good planning sense in proximity to St. John's and in that specific area. And we're studying that with time and with engagement with the property owner.
Can you define BRP and C2?
Yes, business and research park, and then general commercial is C2.
Thank you. Thank you for asking that question, City Manager. Thank you.
Thank you, Mallory and Councilmembers. I want to thank the Community Development Department, Ashley and Mallory and all your staff for working on this 6-cycle housing element, and getting it together for all of us. And council members, any other questions? Okay.
I would just like to add that we had one public speaker, Barbara McROT. She's heavily involved in this, and she complimented the work that's been done by the staff. And oftentimes there are specific members of the public that like to pound on the city of Oxnard. They're making mistakes, minor issues. And I believe Ms. Mallory, again, they were very minor things. There were no errors, egregious mistakes, omissions, anything like that. Correct? Thank you.
Councilmember, I need a motion. Oh, Councilmember Turan.
Thank you. And thank you for the staff's work on this as well. Something that Councilmember Perrella brought up that I just kind of want to reiterate. I know Ms. Mallory touched on it, this is a process. Having worked in government for much of my career, there are certain processes that you do where you submit it to the state and the state reviews it and says, all right, this is all good. We'd like to see this clarified more. There are other findings we have that, you know, could be addressed in this way as well. And it's a back and forth. And it's not we submitted this and they said, oh, you did this wrong, or you're trying to pull a fast one. This is not what this is. This is a process where this was submitted by our staff. HCD said, all right, here's what we like. Here's what we could use more explanation on. Here's the recommendations for tightening this up. And I think the fact that it came back and it has conditional approval pending approval of this legislative body, I think speaks for itself. And if Ms. Mallory would indulge me in one last question, you said how many cities have successfully completed or are at the point where we are right now in our region?
In our Ventura County region, only the county of Ventura. And should this be approved by council this evening, we would be there would only be 14% of cities and counties in the SCAG region, the Southern California Association of Government region, to have a certified housing element.
Okay. Thank you very much. And thank you to you and your team. And thank you, Ashley, for your leadership on this at this point as well. So thank you.
And again,
Recommended action.
and okay, we got a first and second. First by Mayor Pro Tem, second by Bert Perello, Councilman Perello. Call for a vote.
Mayor Pro Tem McDonald,
Aye.
Councilmember Perello, Councilmember Basua,
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal,
Aye.
Councilmember Turan,
Yes.
Mayor Zaragoza.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
And before we adjourn, I just want to share something that was mentioned over and over again. I just want to thank our city employees, whether it's the finance department, the community development, public works. We are always, people are saying that city employees are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, but I believe, and I want to say it over and over again, that we probably have some of the best city employees in the entire county. Thank you so much, and we are adjourned.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Mhm.